Reflecting on the current or rather prevailing world situation, I do echo the phrase purportedly said by Jack Ma that this year's biggest achievement will be to survive. Indeed, the health and economic challenges that we are currently facing are unprecedented, with far-reaching effects in all our other sectors of our life. That is, agriculture also was not spared. And to survive currently, we need, in layman's language, we need two things. That is food and good health. As AAACO Africa, yesterday we did discuss about health and well-being cooperatives in Africa around the stakeholders meetings in Kenya. Today we are here through AAACO, that is the African Agricultural Cooperative organization, discussing about sustaining our livelihood through agricultural cooperatives. And again, in layman's term, I'll call it food security during this COVID-19 crisis and beyond. The crisis is here with us. And in Africa, by the way, we are still in the middle of the storm. We are the most exposed continent given our track record in terms of food security, public health system, and fragile economies. In fact, the impact of the crisis is believed to be more pronounced in Africa than the rest of the world. We are here today to first learn what so far our members have been doing, and that is doing to mitigate the effects of the crisis in their agricultural cooperatives operations, and to see how we can scale up such responses or solutions. And secondly, we are here to think and explore other avenues on how best we could handle the situation, that is food security, through our agricultural cooperative during this COVID-19 situation. We have today cooperators among us, that is the members of the AAACO Executive Board. We also have friends of cooperative movements in Africa who are coming from far and large. Our friend from FAO, IFCO, the All China Federations of Marketing. We have also the East African Grain Council, among others, who will be sharing with us their experiences, thoughts as we try to look on how best we can address the current situation, learning from each other, but also rethinking on the far-reaching impact that this particular situation will have on the agricultural cooperatives today and beyond. I truly appreciate you accepting our invitation. The last day of the month is not the easiest one, but all of you did avail yourselves to make sure we have this conversation and see how through the AAACO we can be able to achieve more. So without further ado, I would like to thank you all for accepting our invitation. I think I've received a message from Katabarwa saying that he's not able to connect us now. I hope we should continue trying. He has, I think, a speech, but unfortunately I cannot read it as I'm already here. And we will have the greetings from the chair of the board, that is ICA board, Mr. Magomere, who could not be with us because of prior engagements. And on behalf of my office and the ICA Africa the board, would like to thank you and hope that you'll have fruitful deliberations. I will now hand over back the mic to Zozo, who's the coordinator and the moderator of this particular session, to take us through the remainder of the program. Thank you very much. Back to you, Arnold.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Sifa, for the opening remarks. We are now going to proceed with the presentations, and we will have about 5 sessions. And the first session will be on production practices and the challenges that African farmers and farmers at large are facing during these times. And we will have for this particular sessions 2 speakers. The first one will be Miss May Hani from FAO, and that will be followed by Miss Janet Gombalu from Eastern Africa Grain Council. I will not introduce them, but I will allow each one of them to give a biography of themselves as they will start with their presentation. I will then hand the floor to Mrs. May for her to take us through her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arnold. I'm very pleased to be with you today and appreciate this opportunity to address this distinguished audience and counterparts in AACO and Alliance Africa. My name is May Hani. I'm Policy Officer on Rural Institutions and Services in FAO, where I lead an area of work on access to rural services and markets for reducing rural poverty, focusing on policy and institutional development and on strengthening producer organizations and cooperatives for promoting economic inclusion and rural transformation. Today, I will speak on the challenges faced by producers, not only in Africa, but globally. Farmers have been facing tremendous challenges. And some of the lessons that we could glean from different countries, as well as FAO's response towards this pandemic and for recovery and rebuilding. The structure of my presentation will be, I will go through an overview on the outbreak, COVID-19 outbreak and repercussions, challenges faced by agri-food producers, and then I will look at some of the responses that we've seen from pertinent responses from cooperatives, and also take you through the relevant parts of FAO COVID-19 response and recovery program. So to begin with, as Dr. Sifa has just said, COVID-19 pandemic has really posed unprecedented challenges on all countries worldwide. It has exposed the weaknesses and inequalities, not only in our health systems, but also in our food systems. And we have seen how the outbreak itself has transformed from a health crisis into an economic crisis in many parts of the world. So what started as disease containment measures, restriction of movements, closure of schools and public spaces, recommendations for physical distancing and health and sanitation requirements have really had wide-ranging socio-economic repercussions, resulting in closure of businesses and recreation areas, loss of jobs and income for large segments of the population, change in social and cultural practices with the ban on public events and ceremonies and other practices, and also a wide-ranging increase in poverty, with an estimated increase of between 48 to 135 million people at risk of being pushed into poverty. This, of course, there were at the same time wide-ranging repercussions on the agri-food system that resulted from the disruption of the agri-food value chains, posing challenges for farmers and different value chain actors, with impact on rural livelihoods. And the reality that in the sobering reality that we face, with 80% of the extreme poor living in rural areas, majority of them depending on agriculture for their livelihoods, they constitute the majority that are at risk of falling into poverty, or worse, worsening their poverty situation. So looking at what challenges and constraints have been encountered, we see that there were numerous challenges across the food system in every single node. So starting with production, we see that the restriction on movements has resulted sometimes in constraints for farmers in reaching their farms, creating shortages for, in accessing inputs and services, be it advisory services, machinery, hire, and other, with an impact on the planting of the new season, and also resulting in cash shortages that we will see as a repercussion from other constraints on the other nodes in the system. In harvesting, we see constraints related to labor shortages due to constraints on travel and on transportation, especially for seasonal workers. There has been also problems in performing certain harvesting activities that require group and collective work due to the physical distancing, and also the market uncertainties that resulted in some cases with farmers not harvesting their crops, especially for perishables, because of the difficulty in reaching markets. Then we look at packing, sorting, and storage, and the other steps of adding value steps within the system. There have been also constraints related to ensuring health and sanitation, decent work conditions, and safe work conditions for the workers. There were also constraints of having facilities that are unprepared, inadequate for the requirement of a health requirement and physical distancing, and also dealing with crop surpluses that have resulted from changing markets. Then on transportation, road blockage has resulted in delays in transport of crops, resulting in them, and also of labor, as I mentioned earlier, resulting in crop damage and losses, especially for perishables, dairy products, and aquatic products. Then we look at marketing, and here we have numerous constraints related to initial closure of markets and local sale points, curfews and restrictions on movement that resulted in especially impacted perishables that had to be traded, that are normally traded in the evening hours. There were export disruptions and also changing in demands, which left the producers in dealing with volatile situations and unpredictable markets. Then we look at even the consumption we see, where many consumers lost income or were concerned of losing income due to uncertainties that accompanied the pandemic. This has resulted in changing consumption patterns, and also in a way of like coping strategy to shift towards more on focus on staples and less diversified diets, which resulted in reduced consumption of fruits and vegetables and other perishables, creating the surpluses that I mentioned earlier. And this, of course, has resulted in the reduced income and the uncertainty for production and replanting for the new season for the producers. So, and as we see, as with all crises, the pandemic has imposed the weaknesses in the system, imposed the challenges that revealed the weaknesses in the system, and exposed the tremendous inequalities that existed. And as with all crises and shocks, the weakest in the system are the ones that are hit hardest. While most producers experienced loss of income and productive capacity due to the shock, smallholders are hit hardest because of their limited coping capacity and ability to absorb shocks. And here we find that cooperatives have played a crucial role, a pivotal role in different countries of the world. I will not go through specific examples, as I'm sure my colleagues and other speakers will be speaking in depth on their experiences from Africa. But I would like to highlight here the pertinent responses that we've witnessed from cooperatives to help mitigate the impact on their members and the small producers also within their communities. So one of the main issues, roles that the cooperatives and producer associations played was to negotiate for flexible terms for listing agri-food sector as essential services, to ensure the movement of people, goods, and services within the agri-food sector. And this was crucial for sustaining the functioning of the system, albeit with some disruptions. Raising awareness on health and sanitation measures for members and communities, and also providing access or negotiating access as well to personal protective equipment like masks and gloves and others. Advocacy and raising consumer awareness on buying local products to support small-scale producers and local markets to help cope with the disruptions. And exploring alternative marketing channels through public procurements, direct links to consumers, and organized supply to local markets. The use of digital solutions, online platforms, e-commerce, and low-tech channels to overcome logistical constraints of lockdown in access to input and output markets. And one point that is very close to my heart is the direct provision of services and bridging the digital and literacy gaps. And we've seen that how our life has all shifted into this digital world in 1 week or so with the lockdown and with the challenges imposed by the pandemic. So we see that cooperatives and producer associations have been instrumental in bridging the digital and literacy gaps to enable their members to access innovative technologies, digital solutions, and cope with the constraints they're facing. And this wouldn't be the last one. I just tried to put the most pertinent, but there are numerous examples and cases on adapting production lines, alternative products, identifying alternative logistics and employment opportunities, alternative channels for food distribution, and also for community service. So this places cooperatives as core actors in whatever our response mechanisms will be. At the same time, I would really like to say that that with all the hardships imposed by the pandemic worldwide, we can see that there is hope in rebuilding stronger and more resilient systems. And in this respect, cooperatives would be on the front line, or should be on the front line, in finding innovative solutions, new partnerships, and alternative pathways. So let's see what FAO is doing. FAO has been monitoring since the early days of the outbreaks in different countries, has been monitoring the impact on the food and agriculture sector, on food and nutrition security, and analyzing responses by different countries and different policy options, and have been providing countries with advice, our member countries with advice on alternative options and for policy response and mitigation measures, building and drawing on the experiences of different countries. For that, FAO has created the COVID-19 platform, which provides access to all partners and member countries to extensive resources, policy briefs, stories from different countries, and for sharing that wealth of information and knowledge. At the same time, here I would quote our Director General's statement in launching the FAO COVID-19 Response and Recovery Program, where he said, "Our ability to act in our shared best interest and for greater collective impact has never been more important." And in that spirit, FAO launched its COVID-19 Response and Recovery Program for a comprehensive and systemic response and recovery in the short and medium to long term. The program identifies 7 focus areas ranging from humanitarian response in the immediate term to long-term, building long-term resilience, providing a comprehensive measures to build back better and build back equal, with ranging actions, wide-ranging actions from humanitarian response, as I said, to long-term resilience, leveraging partnerships and cooperation at global, regional, and country levels. While collective action and working with cooperatives cut across the FAO COVID response program, I would really like to highlight the thematic focus area on economic inclusion and social protection to reduce rural poverty. That is of high relevance to our meeting today. Within this, focus area or thematic focus area outlines comprehensive actions to address root causes of rural poverty and issues of inequality. And within this, there are 2 lines of action within the umbrella program that are especially pertinent to our webinar today. One is on strengthening rural institutions and producer organizations with the aim of enabling access to services and finance to accelerate post-COVID recovery of family farmers and small-scale producers. And the other one is forest and farm resilience, building forest and farm resilience through boosting the resilience of forest and farm producer organizations to COVID-19. While the two action lines address pertinent constraints, albeit in different contexts, both of them share the common approach of addressing integrated policies and comprehensive set of actions to ensure access of smallholders and their organizations to productive resources, services, finance, and markets, and on strengthening rural institutions, cooperatives, and producer organizations to promote improved productivity, market linkages, economic resilience, and sustainable livelihoods. And here I provide a link to the FAO COVID-19 portal. That's where further information and resources are available, also with all the action sheets within the FAO COVID response program, umbrella program. And I really look forward to discussing further with you and responding to your questions as far as I can, and also to learn from your experiences. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. May. I think for the questions, just want to remind the participants, if there are any questions that you have, kindly put them on the chat box. We will have some time at the end of all the presentations to answer to the questions. So I would ask also the speakers to be checking on the chat box so that you identify the questions that are directed to you and keep track of them so that when we come back for the question, for the Q&R session, you can respond to them. Thank you. So I'm now gonna hand over to the floor to our next presenter. That's Mrs. Janet Gombalu, who is the Regional Program Coordinator for East African Grain Council. I'm sure she's already online, so I will maybe ask her to take over the floor and share her screen so that we can proceed with her thing.
Okay, thank you very much, Arnold, and thank you very much, Tim. I'll try to share my screen from here. So thank you very much for inviting us. We are from the Eastern Africa Grain Council, and our main mandate is to support structured trade in grain trade in 10 countries in Eastern Africa. We're in Kenya, Rwanda, Tanzania, Burundi, Ethiopia, DR Congo, and Malawi and Zambia. So the whole grain sector issue. And for us, it's because the grain form most of the staple foods in most of the countries that we are working in. So the COVID-19 situation is impacting mainly on the staple foods because that's what the communities are relying on and the farmers are trying to produce. But with the challenges that have been experienced, that is becoming a challenge. So for the Grain Council, we have the membership of farmers themselves, traders themselves, the processors of the grain, and the entire grain sector. So to mitigate and to look at all this, we developed what we call the grain trade business hubs, which is a part of where the producer practice that we are supporting to manage the situation. So what we've done as EAGC, we have the model which we are now focusing on at aggregation centers to support the farmers to be able to aggregate their commodity together as a service to the farmers. We also have, the genesis, how it started, the issue of permanent storage that aggregates grain. That also is a big issue. So some of the producer challenges during COVID-19 is that our members, our farmers, have limited movement to acquire farm inputs for the planting season because in each of the countries where we are in different agroecological areas. So at any one time, one of our farmers or the countries are either planting, others are harvesting, and others are in the planting season. So we've seen a lot of challenges around this in the movement to acquire farm inputs. Also, lack of available labor has posed a big challenge during this COVID-19 period. Our farmers are not able to, have a lot of people maybe working their farms, support them in input. So we are seeing reduced acreage in planting at this particular time. We are also seeing low purchasing power due to low business and low. So what is happening is that some of our farmers may have a commodity to market, but because of the low business and the low economic times, we are having a problem on that. Then we have limited interactions with peers and for peer learning, which was one of the support systems that we had already put in place that was supporting, but now with the limited interaction, this peer-to-peer engagement is lacking. And socially, even as Africans, this is a big challenge for us. Lack of market access is quite big because what is happening is that with trade restrictions, and especially because we support cross-border trade across the countries. So what is, some of the borders have been closed and we are not able to, move the grain from areas of surplus to areas of deficit, and this is posing mainly a challenge. So we've seen a lot of also post-harvest losses around that because without the market access, when you're not able to move your commodity, then you're not able to store it in favorable conditions. And then we are seeing a lot of post-harvest losses, especially for maize, because maize, there's a lot of moisture content, there's the issues of aflatoxin growth, there's the issues of fungi, and without proper storage. So our farmers have the challenge of storage itself. They're not able to store all the grain. Then they're not able to access the markets because of the trade movements. And then because of the cross-border, again, trade, we even had a situation where at the border points, because our traders are not able to move, grain began growing in the truck itself because it's already had high moisture content. So these are some of the challenges that we've seen. Of course, limited access to finance because to farm grain requires a high acreage and it's a high financial consuming commodity. So access to finance has been an issue as well. And then lack of market information, which is supportive for the farmers. So to be able to get all these challenges as EAGC, we've innovated what we call the grain trade business hubs as a solution during this post-harvest season. So what we are doing is that we have employed a mobile system that is able to register the farmers where they are so that we can be able to know and map where they can be supported from. So this we were able to do through the field teams, and since it's online, it was easy to be able to get the farmers in the database. So we have a whole registry of the farmers in various areas and what their requirements are. So within that database, you will know which farmer requires input, which farmer requires, so that we aggregate the commodities together, which farmer requires market, which farmer requires financial access, so that when we start, instead of one person each going to a service provider for input, we're aggregating the demand. And within that, then we are able to come to the second bit of inputs, so that we know 10,000 farmers maybe in a certain village require farmer input, so that we are able to organize logistics for them to access that commodity at an aggregated level instead of each trying to go one by one. And that sometimes you find some of the, because of movement, some of the, either the commodity is not, the input are not able to arrive on time, or some of the shops are closed. So that we've seen is a very supportive place that we are doing within the GHub model. Then we are also doing the equipment leasing, especially for dryers. I talked about especially post-harvest issues where the issues of joint storage, joint drying, joint selling, shelling of commodity can be done collectively as opposed to trying to do it yourself, especially with the COVID movement restrictions and social distancing. So we support that again on the aggregation. They bring the grain to a certain place, to a central place, which we have identified around the villages. They are able to bring the grain there. It is received through the system, and each farmer at that particular time goes home with an SMS or a receipt, knowing how much they have put in the warehouse. And why we're doing that is, like I said, because to avoid the post-harvest losses and the wins that they had done when they were producing, and also then the challenge now has come with COVID, then we are able to help them to store, and then they can maybe sell at a later date or sell when they are able to. We are also doing a lot of advisory service, especially at this time. It has come in handy because most of the farmers then work from their farms. They may not have interactions with peer interaction. So a lot of advisory services, we are on them on the phone, we are on them we have set online processes that we can be able to engage them. And if we're not able to reach them, we have some officers there. So we have their technical advisory service and training that we're doing. And also the financial services and credit facilities, we have engaged various partners to be able to do that. And then market linkages, we are working with the buyers so that we can link them through our GSOCO, an online platform, through an ICT as well. So we are able to do either ICT or one-on-one interactions for buyer market linkages. And we are organizing all the way from logistics, especially and also clearance at the borders. We are supporting our farmers at production level to access markets even at this issue of pandemic. So what do we need to do? How does one get into the GHAB process? As I said, you do the identification of the GHABs, and this we are looking at village level. So we are looking at maybe a facility that is not being used at the village center that is accessible to the farmers. They can be able to bring at any one time. But again, observing the social distancing issues, observing the movement of people that has been put in by the various governments in the region. So we support them. Then the digital registration has already been done. Then we are doing the service request. So each farmer requests what they want. If they want the agronomy, if they want inputs, if they want market access, whatever they do, they are able to do it within the app. Then we support them in technical advisory, grain storage, and sale of their commodity. So this is just, I'm showing how the information we get for each farmer and what they're able to do. Some of the profiling that we've been able to do, and some of the requirements that they're able to enlist. These are the credit services of what is required in terms maybe of loans and loan amount and services that we've supported. And some of the services that they can request is either soil testing, land preparation, planting, weeding, because like I said earlier, labor has become, quite a big issue. So when they want to do that, they can be able to select. In terms of service, they can also select the fertilizer, the seed, the plowing, and whatever they select, we are able to see that. Then we have integrating now what we call the GHAB system to a GSOCO platform, where there is the buyer and takers are able to do and they take the commodity. And how we are supporting them is that we have a clearing and settlement process that is done online, that the buyer submits some of the money that they want to buy from the farmers, and we receive it into the EAGC, an escrow account within EAGC, And then we support the farmers to be able to supply the grain commodity at better quality and at good quality. And once the sale is done, we are able to support in clearance and forwarding. So in a nutshell, I just wanted to share with you as EAGC what we are, some of the processes we are doing. And so for recommendations, and as I conclude, what we are seeing as some of the issues that we can work together on is to support interventions that enable farmers to access inputs at affordable costs. We've seen some of our partners like Yara who are now looking to organize the farmers into central areas, and then they're able to provide inputs at affordable costs. So this is what we propose as a recommendation moving forward during COVID. Then we are also looking at policies that ensure that the country border points remain open and facilitate efficient trade flows. This is a policy issue we are working on, and because for us EAGC, we are in the EAC, we're in the SADC, and we're in the commercial region. So we are looking at a whole front with which we can support movement of goods. Like I said earlier, grain has to move from areas of surplus, because at any one time, one country is harvesting while another is planting. We have a good balance in agroecological processes. So we need to support movement of goods, especially during these COVID times. And we've already gotten several wins in some of the countries. They are fast tracking the testing at border points, while we've also seen some of the governments are supporting acquiring of COVID certificates at the place of origin, so that you don't have to come. By the time you get to the border, maybe your negative or positive, your negative test can be able to allow you to move into the other country. So that's a negotiation as a policy body that we are supporting our members and our farmers. So on that, the third one is with the COVID situation changing rapidly, because every week, there are new things and numbers are rising in Africa, in our continent. So we are monitoring a lot on what we can do to support the government. We have various platforms which we engage with the government on a weekly basis, giving them advisory, giving them support on how we can mitigate food policies and food systems around the COVID-19. Another one is new business models to cope with the pandemic, such as investing in capacity building to farmers, to SMEs, to adopt ICT. Like I said, we were lucky enough, we had already begun the ICT business models and advisory services. So we were very quick then to adapt and to scale it up into a wider range, because I think going forward, this is the way the new way farmers have to do farming. We have to go into ICT, whether at farm level, whether at trade level, whatever level in the agri-food business chain. COVID-19 has taught us that we have to go the ICT digital way, and we have to do it across the entire value chain, and we are supporting the membership around that. We're looking to also work with ICA to develop a framework to support the subsector on the food chain during the COVID period, and we'll be reaching again with the ICA and AAACO to see how best we can support, a comprehensive framework as partners during COVID-19. Then we're asking to develop interventions to strengthen the food grain systems towards the meeting the COVID-19 challenges. Then we have the food security issues. We have issues of food safety when it comes to aflatoxin, when it comes to the moisture content. So food safety is very key, even as we observe the health and hygiene safety. So food and food items will continue to be a big thing. And for EAGC, we are working on something. I didn't put it here because it's still in the offing, where we are going to do smart markets. And within smart markets, we'll be looking at how we are going to change markets across Africa to adapt to the COVID-19 now requirements, while at the same time ensuring food safety and food access. We'll be launching it as early as next month in August, around 15th, and we will invite the stakeholders here to also join us in that, and also some value addition and processing. So we are also looking at resourcing activities within the food chain with the cooperatives, and that will also be engaging ICA again as well. We are looking to carry joint surveys in terms for profiling the needs that our cooperatives need. We are willing to do that as a way forward. Then to develop jointly together with ICA a blueprint, a roadmap for the food grain agricultural cooperative engagement, how we are going to bring like the food grain, because they're the main staples in the agricultural cooperatives. How can we have a roadmap to work together? Then last but not least, we want to carry out a diagnostics of the challenges faced by the cooperative during COVID-19 and find solutions together. And I think this is one forum where we will be also, this is one opportunity, and we'll be able to do other diagnostics together. So in a nutshell, thank you very much, team, for listening to me. I'll be available for further questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Janet, and for this beautiful presentation, which I personally believe is actually in accordance with what Ms. May presented before, because she spoke of the innovative ways where farmers are coming up with ICT, you know, to deliver services. And I believe with the GHub and the GSOCO that you also spoke about, it's connected to what she said, and I believe this is the way forward. For all those who have questions directed to her and to Ms. May, kindly send them on the chat box, and then we will address them towards the end of the meeting. And we're now going to the next session where we'll be speaking of export and import practices. And we will have on board with us Mrs. Felix Ganga, who will now speak on the issue that I've just mentioned. And thank you. Ms. Ganga, if you're there, kindly take over the floor, please.
Okay, thank you. And good afternoon to everybody. My name is Felix Ganga from Kenya Cooperative Coffee Exporters. And our main objective is to support the cooperative farmers by linking them to buyers who now buy the coffee on direct sales. Coffee is grown in the areas that in the central of the country, central, eastern, Rift Valley, and western. And so we are working with cooperatives who are growing coffee in those regions. But let me mention and say that most of what we do is just marketing, but alongside we also support the farmers. On the part of the contribution of the cooperative farmers in the production of coffee in Kenya, 70% of the production is done by the about 472 cooperatives. And these directly support 700,000 families, which is about 3.5 million people. 30% of the production is grown on the large plantations. But as KCC, we are working mainly with the cooperative producers. And these are spread all over in 28 counties in Kenya. Now, the main or traditional way of marketing coffee was through the auction system. And this is where most of the coffee is sold through. About 80% of the Kenya coffee is sold through the auction system. And this year, when the partial lockdown was put in place in Kenya, we were just in the peak of the marketing coffee season. And this affected us in a big way. The auctions could not be held for several weeks. They were suspended because the auction hall was not found to be conducive for maintaining the social distance that was recommended to ensure that there was no contamination, there was no spread of the disease within the traders as they were buying coffee. And this disrupted the whole system, and the auctions did not take place for a few weeks. And as a result, there was also delayed remittance of payments to the farmers when the auctions were finally took place. Now, this also disrupted the system because, well, the farmers and the traders did not know when the auction would open up again. The coffees were channeled through direct sale, which do not necessarily mean that the coffees got the best prices that they would have got if the auctions were still going on. And also as a result of this disruption, the auction went on recess about 1.5 months earlier. And this also had an effect that it affected the sale of coffee for our farmers who are growing coffee in the rather cold areas in the highlands, because their coffee was not yet dry and had not been milled. And we had to wait until now the auction resumed again in July to be able to sell the coffee. Now, we had another challenge also within the coffee industry, because the current auction system was tailored to take place in an auction hall with all the dealers and the people offering the coffee for auction all present in the same place. And when the system was tried so that the auction could be held virtually, there were some failures, and an alternative method had to be looked for, which was not also 100% perfect, and also resulted in a few challenges. The other challenge was that in terms of technology, the people who were buying the coffee, some of them were not able to access the online trading, and they missed out on some coffee sales. Now, KCCE focuses on direct sales, because by promoting direct sales, our farmers are ensured of getting better prices most of the time than what is we realize through the auction system. And the direct system also was affected by the lockdown, because the buyers or the importers have to approve the coffee. They have to taste the coffee in their offices, and this is in the US, Europe, and Asia. But when the lockdown set in, we were not able to send the samples in good time. And again, when there was a total lockdown in the consuming countries, they were not able to taste the coffee in good time so that they could give us orders. We learned that many of our coffee roasters had to close business for about 3 months, and this resulted in delays. Something else that we also noticed is that they reduced their orders for coffee to just about 33% of what they normally buy in a normal year. And this has resulted in coffees that would have fetched better prices being offered probably through the auction, or even to the buyers who will offer very low prices. And this has affected not just the traders, but has also affected the farmers. Employees also have been laid off, both in the importing countries as well as here locally. And there are some people who have had to work for just a few days in a week. And some of them are even working on half pay, while others have been laid off completely. In total, or in the end, we have found that there have been delays in paying our farmers, and this is something that has affected the cycle because they use what they earn from their coffee to go and source for inputs at their farms, and this may affect the production for next season. Another effect that we have found, this has been especially also at the exporters' position, is that the coffee could not be prepared in good time. This is because in order to maintain the recommended social distance, we had to have very few people working in our warehouses. And that meant that it took a little longer for the coffee to be prepared for shipping. We have also found that there have been changes also in the purchasing habits of the people who buy coffee. And this means that when they buy in small quantities, it means that there is less and less income coming in finally to get down to our farmers. We have also found that among our growers, their children are now home, and probably much as we may look at this as not the norm, the new norm is that the children now may have an opportunity to learn how their parents have been growing coffee, and hopefully this will make them have an interest. And in future, we may have young people who again may be interested in the coffee. There has also been some effects of the COVID-19 on logistics. And I had mentioned earlier on about the fact that we have been using less workers, and this has taken much longer to prepare the coffee. But in addition, we have also found that we have been affected by some buyers who have canceled contracts, and we have to end up looking for alternative markets for these coffees because it's still in our hands. We have had also some other people wanting to invoke the clause of force majeure because COVID-19 really was not something that was expected, and they have claimed that this affected the business that they had proposed to do with us. There have also been some good lessons that have been found, we have found that have taken place, especially among our farmers back on the farms. This is especially in the area of wearing masks. Our farmers have become very sensitized in the area of hygiene, social distancing. And when we have an opportunity to visit them, we can see that all are adhering to what we are being told to do by our health advisors. And as a result of these higher hygiene standards, we have also noticed that certain common diseases that will go with poor hygiene, like even mare colds during this cold season, or even other diseases such as diarrhea and so on, have come down over the period. And this is a plus when we look at the fact that the people have been sensitized to take care of their own hygiene, and they are benefiting from their new normal or way of looking at hygiene. Eating habits also, we have noticed these have changed. And as we interact with our farmers, now that we have been told that there is no medicine for the coronavirus, we have noted that many of them are more sensitive and are trying to eat more vegetables and fruits, something that probably they were taking for granted previously. And this is good because it will also result in them being in better health than probably they have been before. We have also noticed that the men who were taking a lot of their time, maybe socializing in the drinking places, now they have more time to work on the farms. And we are hoping that their input will result in better, higher production on the farms. There has also been some sensitization, because when the farmers also have noted that the payment from the coffee is not coming as they would have expected, the fact that this year they have even earned less than they have been earning previously, they have changed in their spending patterns, and many of them are not buying anything that is not necessary. Also at the farm level, they are trying to right size their operations so that they don't end up spending a lot on the inputs or even on labor, and especially because they are not very sure how they can be able to stretch what they have earned this season, even up to the next season. Something else that has come up is the focus on customers. KCC as an organization is ensuring that all those who visit our offices, their temperatures are monitored, and at the same time that they are provided with water for washing their hands, and also sanitizing their hands. And again, we hope that by so doing, we will remain healthy. Our customers also will remain healthy, and that we'll be able to continue doing business even under these challenging times, until when the pandemic comes down. Something else that is positive is that we are having less and less people using cash. We are having those who come to buy the roasted coffee in our facilities. We find many of them are preferring to use the M-Pesa, or just to use the cards, just to avoid having to handle money. And again, this is a plus that has come with learning that we can only take care of ourselves by avoiding any possible infections. And something else that has also arisen with these challenges is that with the jobs that are being lost in the places of work, in the co-ops that we are working with, and even among the people that we are selling coffee to, this has been a time when people have to really work together, have a good relationship and discuss, because if one cannot be able to afford to pay for the service, they have to make their worker understand, so that the worker can be assured that once work is back to normal, they will be assured that they can be able to earn their salary or wages later on. At this time, something else that would help in the coffee sector is if there can be some government stimulus programs, and especially now that the cash flow for the farmers is much lower, and at the same time, there is need for inputs at the farm level. There is also need for training. If there can be some stimulus on the ground in the coffee growing areas, this may come in handy to ensure that when we move on to next season, we will be assured of probably maintaining the same level of production as what we have had this year. On the part of the export business, we have learned that we have and we need to build trust with our current importers, as well as the new buyers that we will be looking for. And we can only be able to do that if we are able to deliver quality products, quality coffee, and also in a timely manner, so that we can be assured that even coming season, we'll be able to depend on these buyers to come back and buy coffee from us. There is also need also to look for more markets, because what we have learned is that when the pandemic came and our existing buyers cut down on what they had previously been buying from us, we can only be able to recover the lost sales volumes by getting new markets. And we hope that we can be able to get even these markets through the cooperative movement, because I believe that they also consume coffee, and we'll be looking for opportunities where we can be able to also sell coffee through the cooperative movement. And something else that we have all learned, the big lesson is that we will only be there tomorrow only if we keep safe and ensure that we do not get sick with the coronavirus. And so we are finding ourselves working from home. We are also encouraging our growers not to travel if they don't need to, and also stay in their homes and their farms, because the environment there is much healthier and chances of getting infected are much lower as they continue working on their coffee on their farms. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Felix Ganga. One take home for me is that exporters need to build some more on the trust with importers by keeping on delivering quality products and in a timely manner. That's if we need to, to keep on doing our business. And that's what I think the major point that I got from the presentation. And thank you very much for the questions that participants might have for Mrs. Nganga. Please drop them in the chat box, and she will be addressing them just in a bit when we go to the Q&R session. So up next, we're going to our to the next session, and it's going to be on agricultural products marketing and value addition. And our next speaker will be Mr. Naufel Haddad from Tunisia. And Mr. Naufel, if you're there, please, the floor is yours.
De l'agriculture en Tunisie, ça peut être aussi pour l'Afrique. Il y a des inégalités entre les hommes et les femmes dans les chaînes de valeur agricoles modernes. Et puis, il y a une forte pression, surtout par les industriels et les exportateurs, pour baisser les prix. Mais la baisse, c'est au maillon le plus faible, c'est à la production.
Yeah, so he was speaking of the context of agriculture both in Tunisia and Africa, and he highlighted the fact that there is inequality between men and women, and that's all along the value chain of on modern agricultural products. And this has led, there is also the second point, which is the diminishment of the price of agricultural products.
Et puis, il y a un faible niveau d'organisation professionnelle. Donc, généralement, il diffère d'un pays à un autre, mais le faible niveau qui est commun en Afrique, je pense, c'est à la commercialisation. Donc, peu de producteurs qui s'aventurent dans la commercialisation de leurs produits agricoles à l'intermédiaire d'une coopérative.
And there is also the fact that there's very few producers who go to the extent of commercializing their products through a cooperative or an intermediary.
Et puis, il y a la chaîne au cours du circuit de distribution, il y a beaucoup d'intermédiaires entre producteurs et consommateurs.
And from the producer to the consumer, there are so many intermediate people who intervene along the value chain.
Le second slide, c'est un peu, on a parlé de ça. De même chose, la faible niveau d'organisation professionnelle. C'est un peu le détail qu'on a vu tout à l'heure.
And the second slide is on.
Je passe directement, c'est l'importance de la commercialisation. Oui.
Okay, good. So he's just going forth to the importance of commercialization of products.
Oh. Ma connexion est instable.
Okay. Can you,
Vous m'entendez?
We can hear you. Nous pouvons vous entendre.
Oui. Donc, oui. Mais j'ai un problème d'Internet. Bon, la commercialisation donc joue un rôle essentiel au niveau de la viabilité économique des exploitations agricoles. Donc, une commercialisation bien organisée doit donc permettre aux agriculteurs d'augmenter les profits qu'ils tirent de leur activité. C'est pour ça la commercialisation, on peut le dire, c'est la locomotive de tout le système agricole.
Okay. So a well-organized commercialization should definitely or should improve or should take the producers to a level whereby their profits is increased. And they have to get, when they do it well, they have to get more benefits from selling their products.
Okay. Donc, il doit y avoir des bonnes pratiques de commercialisation. Donc, sont très nombreuses. On peut avoir beaucoup d'expériences qu'on peut échanger dans le continent. On peut citer quelques exemples comme le commerce équitable, les circuits courts de commercialisation, la traçabilité, les signes de qualité, les contrats de culture et le tri qualitatif. Donc, et la dernière qu'on peut avoir, c'est le paiement à la qualité, et il y en a d'autres.
And there are so many good practices from which we can learn in Africa or exchange on in Africa for a business to get to get the best out of the commercialization of their products, and that can range from traceability of their products and also bargaining power, raising of their bargaining power in selling their products.
Ce qui est en commun de ces bonnes pratiques, c'est la qualité. Donc, ils travaillent beaucoup sur la qualité des produits.
But number one of the first point on this is to have the producers work on the quality of their products.
Ok. Donc, la pratique 1, je vais être très bref. Je vais passer en vue des pratiques. Il y a les circuits courts. C'est une solution pour nos produits de terroir.
Oui. So I'll be brief on this one.
Et puis la seconde, c'est les signes de qualité, les AOC et les IP. Donc, le consommateur attache de l'importance à l'origine et à la qualité du produit alimentaire. Et généralement, il est prêt à payer plus cher si la bonne qualité et l'origine d'un produit est reconnue et garantie.
And the second point is that consumers really attach the importance to two things: the origin of the product that they are buying, but also the quality. And when both of these are in order, then they will most of the time be willing to pay more for the product that they're purchasing.
En Tunisie, on utilise maintenant l'appellation d'origine contrôlée, les AOC, et aussi l'indication de provenance, de IP. Donc, ça donne une valeur au produit et une confiance au niveau du consommateur.
And in Tunisia, there are two expressions that are coming up to refer to this. There is what is called AOC, which certifies the origin of a product, but also the IP, which the AOC, which is on the original name of the product, but also the IP, which is on the kind of a certification for the origin of a product.
Par exemple, nous avons ici l'AOC de FIC de Djiba. Donc, c'est une sorte de label. Vous voyez bien qu'il y a un label, une infographie, genre de logo, qui indique au consommateur la provenance de ce produit. Donc, il y a toute une cahier de charge pour adhérer à l'AOC. Donc, c'est un travail qui dure quelques années pour avoir adhéré un produit à une AOC. Donc, les coopératives qui ont adhéré à ce process, à ce label, ils estiment qu'il y a 15 à 25% de plus-value de leurs produits.
So as you can see on the images on your screen, this is what it looks like, the AOC and allow me to call it identification of the product, whereby you have a product with the label, which shows you its original name, but also the origin and who is the original producer of the product that you're buying.
Okay. Donc, il y a aussi les mécanismes de traçabilité qu'on connaît très, très bien, qui sont résumés de dire c'est de la fourche à la fourchette. Donc, la traçabilité, c'est un argument que le consommateur souhaite l'avoir. Donc, il veut savoir comment ce produit a été réalisé, toute la chaîne de production. Donc, il y a une visibilité de ce produit dans tout le processus de production.
So the third level is the third tool is the mechanism of traceability, which goes from the farm to the table. And this allows the consumer to follow up all the stages through which the product that he's consuming has gone through. And from his presentation, he's saying that this has also brought up some trust between the producers, the intermediaries, and also the consumers, the final consumers, by also pushes for the producers to work on the sanitary norms and following up all the hygienic processes for them to deliver quality goods.
Okay. La quatrième pratique, c'est l'agriculture contractuelle. C'est un contrat entre producteurs et acheteurs ou exportateurs. Ça sécurise les producteurs au niveau des prix de vente. Donc, il y a un contrat où on fixe les prix et les quantités. Donc, l'agriculteur il travaille en tranquillité. Comme ça, il sait bien que son produit va le vendre à un tel prix et il doit présenter la quantité désirée aux acheteurs.
Mm-hmm. So the fourth practice is contractual agriculture, whereby there is a contract that is signed between the producer and his buyer, and he, straight from scratch, before he even farms, he knows that there is the product that he's working on that will be sold at this price, and who is his buyer, and he doesn't have to stress after producing to sell his product.
La cinquième pratique, c'est les plateformes ou les sites web de e-commerce. Donc, c'est l'heure d'actualité, ce procédé. Donc, avec la crise du coronavirus, il y a beaucoup de e-commerce. Il y a surtout des exportateurs qui ont exploité ces plateformes, puisque les marchés à l'extérieur sont fermés. Donc, on a eu des sites web, beaucoup de sites web de e-commerce, mais il y a peu de coopératives qui ont adhéré à ce procédé. Mais nous, comme coopérative de consommateurs et avec l'appui qu'on a reçu de l'Union africaine, le Bureau interafricain des ressources animales et l'Union arabe des agriculteurs, avec un petit financement, on a pu réaliser un projet qu'on a appelé Fleur pour promouvoir les produits des petites femmes, les petits agriculteurs, les femmes rurales et les jeunes agriculteurs.
Again, e-commerce comes in here, and he's just mentioning that with the actual states, with the coronavirus, we cannot do without e-commerce, because there are things like food delivery, online purchases, which are being done. And even though in Tunisia, our cooperatives did not really venture into this, the cooperative that he works with, that's the Tunisia Consumer Corps, through funds that they received from the African Union and the Arabic Farmers Union, they put in place some e-commerce platforms for their own service delivery.
Mais comment on a facilité la visibilité des produits de la femme sur notre site web, site e-commerce? Nous avons procédé tout d'abord à une formation des femmes rurales en entrepreneuriat. Selon l'approche, c'est une approche, c'est une formation où il y a de jeux de rôle, d'animation. C'est pas de genre de conférences ou de leçons à donner, mais toutes les femmes, elles jouent des rôles, ils ont des notions de base, de marketing, de tout le système entrepreneuriat. Et puis, après, ils participent à des expos-ventes qui sont organisées par la coopérative. Comme ça, ils ont de contacts directs avec le consommateur. Leur projet entrepreneurial mûrit davantage. Et comme ça, nous, on identifie des produits de qualité, des femmes qui font bien le produit du point de vue design, présentation au consommateur, tout ça. Donc, ils passent directement au site e-commerce.
So one more thing that they did was the promotion of women's products and these rural women, and it was done into three essential phases. The first one was training, entrepreneurial training to women. And this was done in a different way, in the sense that it was not really like the normal trainings in the schools that we know of, but it was, they made it like a role playing, whereby the women will play roles of a business person, and that's how they delivered the knowledge to their members. And then the other thing was women's participation in expositions to sell their products, these are workshops and expositions that were held by cooperatives. And the third step was that the women products were also publicized and sold on their e-commerce platforms.
OK, donc je termine avec quelques photos de nos expos-ventes. On a identifié même des ingénieurs agronomes, des femmes qui travaillent seules, et d'autres qui sont en groupe de coopératives qui travaillent ensemble. Et nous encourageons les femmes à être ensemble, organisées pour mieux écouler leurs produits. Et merci pour votre audience.
So this is a photo of women and some of the products that they have been exposing in some of the events that they had, and they keep on encouraging women to standing together and developing their businesses. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Naufel, for your presentation. For those who have questions for him, for those who have questions for Mr. Naufel, please drop the questions in the chat box, and he will also be attending to them. I might need to assist him to in responding to them, but thank you very much, Mr. Naufel, and thank you. So I think we're now moving to our next presenter, and this should actually be our second to last session, and we will be having on board Mr. Tarun Bhargav, who will also be presenting on successful innovations and technologies that are related to agriculture. Mr. Tarun.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So, hi everyone, I'm Tarun Bhargav from IFCO India. We are agriculture cooperative into multiple businesses like producing fertilizers. We are into insurance, rural telephony, commodity trading. And what presentation I'm going to show you is what IFCO believes in and what we look forward for the near future, the future after COVID. So you have seen this video which was there, and it was just to tell you that IFCO has been helping all the farmers because we are the cooperatives of farmers. All our members are farmers, around 40 million farmers from India. And we believe that, as we say in India, that the world is one family. So when we talk of post-COVID era and how to mitigate the impact of the COVID problems created by the COVID corona. So the first slide you see here is we believe in the collaboration, the cooperation and international collaboration with the co-ops across the world. And we have signed one MOU with AACO during the Kigali ICA Global Conference in October 2019. Next slide, please. Now here I show you the soil health for sustainable agriculture, the model which IFCO adopts for sustainable agriculture. And we believe that the soil is at the soul of farming. So if the soil health is good, the farming will be good. So we have adopted this one model which is to improve the soil health, and we have been working on this model for last 10 years now. And this has been very successful. You see this is a very holistic model here. And here you see the seed, the nutrient resources, nutrient strategies, best management practices, integrated farming, farm mechanization, transfer of technology, government policies, and the water management, irrigation. They all form the part of our strategy to improve the agriculture in India. Next slide, please. So IFCO is having the businesses, the existing businesses in fertilizer, international trading, general insurance. We have a special economic zone. We are into rural telephony, farm forestry, where we convert the wastelands into farmlands. We have invested in commodity exchange, and we are into agrochemicals also. And now we are into going into diversification for farm machinery. The inputs you see here: farm machinery, finance, R&D, center of excellence, the production of specialty fertilizer, biofertilizers, biostimulants. We have launched some products like Sagarica, which is a seaweed extract biostimulant. We are also going to launch a nano technology based product, which is nano nitrogen, nano zinc and nano copper, which will be revolutionizing the agriculture scenario all across the world. And IFCO is first organization in the world where we have patented this nano based products, and we are soon going to start the commercial production next year. And we are also into food processing. The last slide, please. We are into food processing also. We are into e-commerce also. We have some e-markets by the name IFCO Bazaar, and we are trying to collaborate with new customers and new friends across the globe. And we have signed 7 to 8 MOUs with countries like Malaysia, Mauritius, Korea, and we have also signed with AACO. And in future also we look forward to sign such MOUs. Now, next slide, please. When we talk of Corona, we see that what impact the COVID-19 has done on agriculture. We have seen the stores have closed in our country, in India, deterioration in demand and supply, which has led to unbalanced economy. There had been agri-labor crisis, and it was very difficult to find the labor for the factories and also for the farmers in the fields. We have disruption in the supply chain, and we also have liquidity issues. Now, action taken by IFCO to overcome the impact of COVID-19. All our 5 plants continued their production during the lockdown times to meet the fertilizer requirements all across the country. IFCO is supplying to all 29 states in India, and India is a big country, as you all know. All our distribution channels like IFCO Bazaar outlets catered to the needs of farmers at the grassroots level. We undertook the Break the Corona Chain social awareness campaign in a big way. And as you have seen in the video which we have shown you, around 840,000 people were the beneficiaries of this. And we also supported this program with 3.9 million USD to assist the Indian government and other agencies to fight Corona. Now here I come to the slide where I show you, because IFCO is also a member of International Cooperative Agriculture Organization, which is a wing of ICA, and I am an executive member on the committee of ICAO. So I was requested by my friends in ICAO, the chairman of ICAO, to share some views on ICAO. The background is we see the demographic changes happening, the lack of arable land and oligopolies in the retail market. So with this kind of issues, the challenges around what ICAO is doing. Next slide, please. The vision of ICAO. So the vision is the happiness for the farmers. Please go to the next slide. Happiness for farmers and peace for the world. With this mission and vision, we have identified 3 points, which is harmony between humans and nature, happy farmers, happy people, and bridging the gap to the future. So now you see the harmony we have promoted. The last slide, please, Arnold. We have promoted multifunctionality in agriculture, encourage sustainable farming, improve the quality of life for farmers, serve farmers and the society. And to bridge to the future, we realize the future-oriented policies and strengthening the inter-cooperative cooperation. And now we come to the core values of ICAO. So this is the same what we have talked in the previous slide. Next slide, please, Arnold. Here you see the reason for existence of agriculture cooperatives. The technology, as you know, is the essential. Next slide, please. And the plans of action of ICAO. So you see economy, environment, food security, and socio-cultural issues, they are all interlinked. So to promote multifunctionality, we have to all work together on these issues. And we have to also encourage a sustainable agriculture. We have to enhance farmers' welfare. In India, we are working on increasing the farmers' income and doubling it by 2022. This is a big plan we are working on doubling the farmers' income. And also this can be done only through technology. So we are working on digital platforms and all the ways, whatever possible, to improve the lives of farmers using the technology. At the same time, we have to also fulfill the social responsibilities. We have to build a foundation for cooperation with outside organizations, develop rural areas and create jobs through agriculture, and support the economically vulnerable people. And we have to also embrace the advanced technology and convergence in agriculture and realize that eco-friendly agriculture is the way to life. Now, this is also very important to strengthen the cooperation between agriculture co-ops, as IFCO is working in collaboration with so many co-ops across the world. Next slide, please. And from this platform, I would like to request from ICAO that we want more cooperatives to join and become member of ICAO. And also, as we have signed an MOU with AACO, we want to encourage co-op to co-op trade, and we want to do more business with the cooperatives, whether it is Africa, America, Asia, or Europe, any continent. So what future engagements would African co-ops involve? Previous slide, please. Africa has a huge potential to grow and develop business cooperation with the world. New members should join ICAO from Africa so that they can benefit from ICAO activities. And IFCO, as you know, has signed MOU with AACO to exchange ideas. So who all are the members of AACO can come forward and they can contact us. We have a very good friend in SIFA there in Africa who is working with the cooperatives in a big way, and I thank her for inviting me to join this webinar. And this is a platform I request all the co-ops to unite in this hour of Corona and COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Arnold, you're muted.
Hello. Hello.
Sorry for that. Sorry for that. Thank you very much. I was saying thank you very much, Mr. Tarun, for your presentation. And it cannot be overemphasized that as cooperatives, we need to come together and trade and practice co-op-to-co-op trade. And our next presentation is from Ms. Chen Fei. I'll let her take the floor straight. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, cooperative friends. My name is Chen Fei, and I come from All China Federation of Supply and Marketing Cooperatives. Thank you for AACO and for the SCA Africa. It is my great pleasure to have this opportunity to talk about the innovations and technologies of China Co-ops with you. Now I'm going to share the screen first. Let's see.
Ms. Chen, it's already there.
Yeah. Is it working now? Yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, thanks. So we are meeting at a crucial moment in the world's battle against COVID-19. With the widespread, it has put lives and health of people under grave threat, and it poses a severe challenge to cooperatives in particular, as co-ops are committed to fighting for the most vulnerable groups. China Co-op also have large number of farmers or farming-related cooperatives that are vulnerable to the pandemic. So I'd like to take this opportunity to share with you practices and experiences of the e-commerce of China cooperatives and what China Co-op has done in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. So there will be 5 parts in my presentation. And the first will be a very brief introduction to China Co-op. So from this part, you can see some characteristics of China Co-op system and see why it could help the pandemic with the local cooperatives. So founded in 1954, China Co-op is the largest and most complete cooperative organization in China. You can see here we have a 5-layer structure from the national level to the provincial level, city level, county level, and then to the primary level. So this kind of structure could complete a wide coverage of cooperatives. And the second characteristics is that there are about 22,000 enterprises within the system, covering many fields such as agricultural production, daily consumer goods, renewable resources, e-commerce, and so on. This kind of enterprises with a wide coverage could give us flexibility when we are coping with disasters or the pandemic. The third is that we have a complete chain operation network all over the country. You can see some statistics here about our chain stores and distribution outlets in large amount. So this kind of network provides us with the mobility when we are coping with difficulties. And we have also provided comprehensive services such as the agricultural inputs and goods for daily consumption, everyday life payment, logistics, and express delivery. These are all within the working fields of the China Co-op. The second part is I want to share with you the brief introduction to the e-commerce of China Co-op. This is also very important, especially in the lockdown during the pandemic of the COVID-19. So this e-commerce have started from the year 2015. So the integrated development of e-commerce with other business models actually is profoundly affecting people's lifestyle and the mode of production, both in the city and the rural areas. So in 2015, we have made our mind to set up our own e-commerce platform at the national level. It's called Co-op eHome. And Co-op eHome provides online sales services for co-op products and supports online payment settlement, quality certification, products origin trace, big data services. And at present, Co-op eHome has also become the designated platform for official procurement of agricultural and sideline products in poor areas. This plays an important role in coping with the disease. And e-commerce have actually developed very rapidly in China. This is the front page of the Co-op eHome. And there are some statistics about the current development of our e-commerce platform. And the next part I want to talk about is about some main features of this Co-op eHome. So from this, you can also tell why the co-op e-commerce is very important to agriculture or farmers cooperatives. The first is that most of the online co-op shops choose agricultural produce as their main business. This has effectively increased the sales of agricultural produce and farmers' income. And the second is we put the development of county-level service platforms at priority. We provide targeted e-commerce services such as technological training, software and hardware support, marketing skills for counties, townships, and villages, which are recognized by the government and welcomed by our farmers. The third feature is it promotes integrated development of online and offline business. Efforts have been made to promote information reform of physical stores to better connect online business with offline resources. The fourth feature is each development model has its own characteristics. Some co-ops choose to build online platforms by themselves or work with other well-known e-commerce companies. There are also co-ops providing direct purchase services and citywide cold chain delivery. The fourth is I want to talk about some actions in combating with the COVID-19. Here are some experiences and best practices we have in the fight. First is we help farmers' cooperatives to safeguard the supply of agricultural produce. China Corps increases its production of sanitary materials first, and then distribute them to farmers with sanitary instructions, so as to help them resume production as soon as possible. Then we solve farmers' difficulties in obtaining market information and product transportation by establishing effective and efficient connection between farmers' cooperatives and wholesale markets, shopping malls, and supermarkets. In this way, we tried thus to guarantee the market supply of grain, oil, vegetables, meat, fruit, eggs, milk, etc. The second action is to make full use of primary co-ops and service outlets to ensure supply of daily necessities. To ensure normal supply of daily necessities by increasing the product variety of primary co-ops, comprehensive service cooperatives, chain stores, community vegetable stores, wholesale markets within our co-op system. And we also solve the problem of purchase during the quarantine by taking distribution advantages of co-op e-commerce platform. People can put their order online with crops providing delivery services. And the third is to ensure input supplies to safeguard the spring plowing. Give the full play to our role as the main channel of input supply. We did a rather good job in distribution and storage of major agricultural inputs such as fertilizers, seeds, pesticides, and agricultural fumes to secure the spring plowing. And we also innovate our business methods to provide farmers with more convenient and efficient services, such as adopting telephone appointments, online sales, and door-to-door delivery. So that's a very brief introduction about our actions coping with the pandemic. And the last part is for some recommendations and looking to the future. So in isolation, the virus may keep us, our commitment remains unchanged. It is very heartening to see our cooperatives continue to serve members and the community in one way or another, while contributing actively to the society as a whole. Yet that said, the test for cooperatives is still unfolding. I would like to say it is more than ever urgent for cooperatives to cooperate both at the national and international level to get through this crisis. It is also an opportune moment for cooperatives to increase our voices and be empowered. We should rise to the challenge, work in unity, and emerge stronger after this crisis. So that's briefly what I want to share with you today. Thank you again for your patience, and thank you for SAE Africa's kind invitation. It is a very nice experience of talking and exchanging ideas. We look forward to the next opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chen, for this insightful presentation. I think I will not comment on it. It was quite clear. And allow me to leave the floor to our last presenter for today, and that's Dr. Lewis Cruz, who is also the Vice President of AAACO. Dr. Cruz, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. First, my regards to everyone, and I hope you are all in good and great health. In particular, our esteemed Dr. Sifa and the entire panel of speakers. Not forgetting my colleague, Haddad, that is also Vice President of AAACO. He is responsible for North Africa, and I am the responsible for Southern Africa. Sorry to didn't make any PPT presentation, but I was with a very short time. Anyway, I can resend my speech to Mr. Arnold, and he can forward to everyone if it's your desire. I also would like to give a short state presentation to contextualize the importance role of partnerships between and with agriculture cooperatives, and complementing what Dr. May, dear Janet, my colleague Adad, and all speakers' examples and experience COVID changes in their lives, in their companies' lives. And I see here also good solutions already presented, like the last one of the China COP and India, that is, they are very experienced and they for sure can help us in organization our Africa Agriculture Alliance Cooperatives organization. Well, it's well known that the impact of COVID pandemic on Africa's agriculture and food systems. This should certainly be a priority for leaders across the public and private sectors of all nations in Africa. All sectors, I think, have to unite and raise agriculture performance, because many parts of Africa are already at risk coming to crisis with COVID. And COVID was undoubtedly had implications to all sectors of commercial and civil society, like Dr. Mayer already told. If the number of infected and killed and persons that die increase, this situation will escalate to worse levels for sure, and we hope not. But agriculture is also one of Africa's most important economic sectors, making up to 23% of the continent's GDP. In sub-Saharan Africa, it provides work for nearly 60% of the economically active population. Africa's exports of food and agriculture products are worth between $35 billion and $40 billion a year, and some $8 billion of year flows through intra-regional trades in these products that can and should be potentialized the commerce inside regions of Africa and countries. Because I am in Mozambique, as you know, and for example, this is an enormous country that don't happen in Europe. In Europe are small countries, but us in Africa, even in some regions, we have some difficulties to know what they are producing or what their needs. So that organization that, for example, India and China already did with these platforms are going to help us a lot. Well, continuing. I think $6 billion a year come in imports of agriculture inputs, bringing revenue to a whole value chain far beyond agriculture producers or cooperatives. So there is a value chain of this market where they are cooperatives or private companies. We are around 650 million people in Africa. And we can see that McKinsey company shows us in their reports that roughly half of the population already face food insecurity, like Dr. May said. And of those, more than 250 million people are already in nutrition needs. They are considered to be severely food insecure at the moment. So this is a problem far beyond cooperatives, is a transversal problem to whole society. COVID-19 has also created significant demand side pressure that may worsen food insecurity on the continent, owing to loss of incomes, like Dr. May said, reduced consumption and potential food price increases caused by localized supply shocks and depreciating currencies. The coins are going down. Parts of East Africa have experienced locust infestations since mid-2019, and ongoing climatic events led to low rainfall in Zimbabwe and northern Mozambique in 2019. Flooding in East Africa, along with unrest in South Sudan, northern Nigeria, and Sahel, have pushed these regions to the brink of, and in some cases, into a food security crisis. Some of Africa's major export crops, including coffee, like we see, were already at historically low pricing levels coming into 2020. Although signs of recovery were visible in late 2019, but now you see all prices and production are coming down. In short term, with the closure of restaurants and hotels, demand for higher end fresh produce has already been depressed in most countries. However, in the medium to long term, internal demand is likely to fall as more than 150 million Africans could lose all of part of their livelihoods as a result of the pandemic. Job losses are likely to disproportionately affect low-income earners and informal jobs in urban areas on dependence. It is likely that between 400 million and 460 million people in Africa are facing the prospect of reduced incomes versus the rising of the prices and loss of to consume. And that could lead to nutritional problems like skipping meals, reducing caloric intake, or switching to less nutritious but cheaper foods, lower quality. And this data show us the importance that agricultural cooperatives have in the African panorama in forecasting food markets. I think stakeholders throughout this food chain must undoubtedly take immediate action, taking advantage of this opportunity, that is an opportunity, to enhance the production and supplies of agro-commodities to Africa and the old markets. Partnerships are needed along the value chain to enhance the entire agribusiness, not only in production. Nonetheless, prior to the COVID crisis, we already saw and experienced some tailwinds in Africa agriculture. Large parts of East and West Africa had high rainfall, which contributed to strong harvests in late 2019, like South Africa, for example. Maize production rise to more than 30% that in the previous years. So Africa's agriculture and food systems are largely still functioning with minimal disruptions in the crisis to date, in my opinion. Furthermore, most African countries have declared agriculture and the related activities an essential service and have made an effort to keep borders, ports, and inland transport routes open. This was helped to ensure that the continent's agriculture and food systems retain some resilience. Kenya, for example, Dr. Sifa, your country adopted an excellence and quality measures in this matter with the platform, the war room that Kenya created to this matter. But these are several crucial factors to optimize the success of African agriculture, as already well said here. Good practices to mitigate deviations in production losses and optimize harvests, that is needed. And within these good practices, there are still many variables to be aware of, from access to water, access to good seeds, knowledge of the creation crops, to the type of soil that we are working. So we need know-how. Also passing through the success of a good budget plan and a good logistic plan or platform that places the products in the markets where they are needed, like China and India are doing with these platforms, and Janet also that I hear. This work of marketing is crucial, and in marketing I have a degree in marketing and a master in administration. And marketing is not only advertising or sales, no? Marketing is much more than that. So if the cooperative has all the productive factors at work and the products that they produce remain in the granary without selling, they go rotten, and that was work for nothing. And we have no revenues, and we cannot buy more seeds because we didn't make money. We cannot increase our production, and we cannot gradually optimize the cooperative. And that happened in some cooperatives in Africa. We have an example of a member of Africa Alliance, Agricultural Alliance, John, that all this production was rotten and he couldn't sell. So I think that one of our problems is the lack of commercial and entrepreneurial point of view of stakeholders. This problem is reduced with the implementation of partnerships with the organizations and the institutions with years and years of business practice. Like we see Mr. Tarun and China or Africa or America, sorry. And we see also that I think, I'm sorry, NGOs do not have enough core business to fully help these cooperatives in a commercial point of view. So with millions of hectares of good land to cultivate in Africa, facing the fatigue and saturation land on other continents like Europe, the land is dying, is tired. And for China, for sure, some places, I think we have a unique opportunity to grow agriculture cooperatives and production. Saying that through partnerships with institutions and experienced cooperatives such as Chinese, Indian, or North American cooperatives, real giants in the world food production, we have a path. For example, the National Council of Farmer Cooperatives has been the voice of America's farmer cooperatives for years, and other countries follow that example. And we have in Africa, we have to do also. Like we see IFFCO in India with a marvelous example, and AAACO should be too. Also, China Federation of Supply and Marketing Cooperatives can bring an important boost to Africa in a win-win situation, I think. In our point of view, we can create partnerships to develop African countries, to strengthening production processes, services, to reach practical solutions, not philosophical. And that is what I'm going to talk about, some ideas to partnerships, such as, for example, a partnership with FAO. FAO and the World Bank invest millions of dollars in several countries, like Mozambique. And they can support cooperatives and agricultural production at a level beyond only governmental. Because I see that some governments in Africa stop there. So FAO have also to go to the private sector, not only work with the governments. And we note, for example, in Mozambique and other countries that I see, only a few cooperatives and private institutions take initiative to take advantage of all the work and the infrastructure financed and created by FAO and World Bank. You know, United Nations has an opportunity to pressure governments to put land in the hands of those who intend to work agro-commodities business, even if it is public-private partnerships, through strict monitoring of costs and results. Auditing is essential to the development of the project. We have, for example, the case in Mozambique, Chokwe irrigation system. World Bank helps to rehabilitate vital infrastructure and ensure all-season irrigation and transport in $32 million investment. And I went to ask for land to produce, and I come across an endless bureaucracy and leasing costs that put me at a high risk in agriculture business, which in itself already is a high risk. And we see, I think was Janet talking about the banks, the difficulty that cooperatives and institutions have to ask credit to agriculture. Of course, because I work in a bank for 13 years, for example, and I know that don't have any interest to the bank to loan money to an agriculture business because of and that is an attractive business for them. They're going to put you high rates to get down their risk in their analysis risk. So they have afraid of impairment, and it's normal that. So maybe some partnerships with FAO or private institutions to open credit to our companies and our cooperatives will be highly beneficial for everyone and put pressure on government approving more liberal and protective measures for cooperatives that really want to show results. Partnerships, for another example, partnerships with major and experienced cooperatives and agro-production companies. Like I said before, with the Indian, Chinese, American, Japanese companies, for example, that are important for an exponential growth of production in scale and in quality. They can bring all the technical know-how necessary for our development of our cooperatives and give us a giant leap. For example, a couple months ago, I was contacted by a European Republic in order to be able to supply agro products to that country. But for this to happen, for us to support some products, we have to proceed with necessary agreements. There must be reliability in production. You know, we must comply with the quantity produced. You can't miss deliveries or fail the contracts. Liability is a critical variable, so we need more professionalism also.
Dr. Cruz, we are running out of time, please.
Sorry, Arnold. I am too boring. Are you sleeping, or everyone are sleeping?
No, it's just in the interest of time, since we are some 15 minutes late, could you please?
Okay, Arnold, give me 4 minutes if you don't mind.
It's for the platform to, but let's just try and finish up, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to resume my ideas. Partnerships for barter operations, for example. I don't speak to make a partnership with Monsanto because we don't want GMOs. But in practice, barter operations that happens in other countries is a negotiation that resumed. Companies give some seeds necessary for our activity, and we pay that inputs after harvesting. Partnerships with World Bank or high-ranking financial institutions in order to support not only credit, but on trading on futures market. It's a world market, futures and we can sell our production 2 years before they are produced, and it's important. Partnerships with logistic companies, we need it in order to move goods from the producer to the consumer market, offering competitive prices. Because if the price is more expensive than the product that comes from China or from India, then the retailer, even in Africa, don't gonna sell, are not gonna buy. So we have to be competitive in that way. We need to have a more business view of our cooperatives to mitigate problems and to give food to the markets, because food markets gonna go down, and we need it. This distribution and commercial part is very important for us. It sounds easy, but it's for those who knows, and we need partnerships in logistical to cut down the prices and reach the markets that are needed. Because, for example, in Africa, we don't have a good train system. It's everything by truck, that gonna put the prices in the consumer or in the retailer more expensive. And so partnerships with logistic companies is needed to go down the prices and we be more competitive. Partnerships, for example, with African Union or African Union countries, in governments are a major player in this sector. If food crisis leads to escalation, if there is a food crisis, leads to escalation of civil and social problems at all levels. So government have to look and help this material. Creating nerve centers, for example, like Kenya did, gonna help to look forward of the next harvesting or planting seasons, track availability and distribution of agriculture inputs, ensure that critical value chain actors such as inspector, agents, traders, everything. Partnerships with big data company. And we see in China and Janet what they are doing, and India. And in AACO, we already in our action plan that we did, and Nofel, my colleague, help also. We create a digital work objectives and our own, and the current situation of African cooperatives, to understand and define the best model that can reach the main important goals and objectives for a better organization, for people-centered, better agriculture literacy, like Janet is doing, better environmental practices, network, and database information is crucial to define strategies. This information received through two digital platforms, website and producer versus buyers and in a digital platform, allow us to understand numerous issues and resolve problems, such as number of cooperatives in each country, geographic distribution, what products are being cultivated, quantities production, what are the biggest difficulties of each cooperative, and where we can put the products, what is the markets that are in more needed for for a specific product, and improve the e-commerce, like I think was yes, the China Coop is doing e-commerce and helping actions strategies for AACO on agriculture cooperatives across all Africa, in my opinion. Me and Haddad contact already digital companies to present that description of the work plan. So we see, I think we see that China Coop and India are grown men, and we AACO have 3 years, so we are a newborn. And for sure, that memorandum of understanding with Tarun, we need it. We need that know-how, you know, to bring to everyone in Africa. In short, it is likely that Africa and key trading partners will face an up and down situation over the coming months. Companies will therefore need to prepare for slower logistics overall, and also for localized supply and market disruptions, such an ongoing shortage of air cargo availability that will affect exporters. This could persist until undetermined time, depending of the scenarios we're going to see. So partnerships are very important in production, logistical, distribution, sales, and AAACO need to be able to establish partnerships to add value to its cooperative partners, mainly in placing products at the best possible price and producing according to the requests and needs of Africa and international markets. Sorry for my presentation if it's too long and if it was bored for you. I didn't speak all that I wanted. And we have some time for some questions, or if someone wants to add comments and suggestions, I would be very happy to receive your contribution. To all of us, keep safe. Thank you, Arnold, and sorry.
Okay, Dr. Gus, thank you very much for your presentation. And
welcome, sir.
I think since people have been interacting in the chat box in responding to the questions, like you can all see, I think we will keep the questions on the chat. And maybe since we are very late, and I'm really sorry, allow me to also say that we are very sorry for keeping all the participants this late. I think I'll just leave the floor to Dr. Sifa for who will lead us in concluding for the meeting. But in the meantime, please, for your questions, keep on sending them on the chat box, and presenters, all of them will be attending to them. To all of you, thank you very much. It was very good. It was very nice for me to interact with all of you. And Dr. Sifa, back to you if you are with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arnold, and thank you once again all the participants for their patience, and we are very sorry for keeping you late. Maybe at this juncture, before I invite finally the chairman, Katabaru, has been able to join us. He will read his speech, which was supposed to be at the opening and also another one at the closing, but he will combine the two. And before that, maybe we can give half a minute to each presenter to just make some concluding remarks as they maybe react to the feedback or the questions and the sentiment that has been shared on the chats. I will start following the order of presentation. So May, please, do you have some concluding remarks? Half a minute, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Sifa. One point, one key message to all. I just want to say that the FAO's response program for rebuilding and recovery is really being defined and contextualized by the countries themselves, by the regions themselves. So the priorities are defined at the country level, at the regional level. So I really call on AACO and Alliance Africa to advocate for making sure that cooperatives are engaged in and have the platform, the right platform to engage in national dialogue in defining those priorities and being part of the rebuilding process. And to make sure that strengthening cooperatives in both managerial, business, organizational business and marketing capacities is identified as a national priority, so that whatever FAO is going to be working with the countries on, we make sure that we have that channel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Annie. You have heard that the onus is upon us to engage with our government, make sure that we have, our voice is heard as the national strategies are being developed to address the COVID and post-COVID crisis. and that will give good standing in terms of having our message already from FAO coming from the national offices right to the regional and the global scene. Thank you very much. Janet, please, half a minute, please. Janet, your reflections.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sifa, and thank you all the speakers and the participants and the questions. We've been given a big challenge with ICA, AACO, and EAGC. You've seen we have been asked to work together to engage the food systems. I've outlined several areas that we will continue to work with the office to engage. And so for now, I think we can leave it at that because there are quite a number. There are over 10 points that we will continue. And after this meeting, we'll be having a meeting with the team to see how to move this forward. And I also have seen the youth agenda has been brought on board, especially in the food cooperatives, the food grain cooperatives. So we'll also be engaging on that. Otherwise, this was a very fruitful engagement. I'm glad to be part of it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Janet, for already giving a way forward. You and May have already given forward and committing that as soon as next week we shall start hitting the ground working on this recommendation. Thank you. Phyllis, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm also very grateful. This was a very nice forum to participate in this meeting and listen to all the views and what is happening in the cooperative world. For us as KCC, it's our desire that we be able to plug in well to the co-op and AACO, because I believe that that is a very big market where we can still continue selling the coffee from our farmers. And we hope that we'll be able to grow that market. Thank you.
And thank you very much, Phyllis. And as you were talking, I was feeling ashamed of myself. I know that you, myself, I took your coffee to Nigeria and it was in high demand. I took it as a gift and people wanted to come and buy it, and they've been buying it one-on-one. But just to tell you, indeed, yes, there is a big market, especially in Africa. So we need to leverage on that and make sure, and please keep us, I've said it so that you can push us to make sure that we connect you through other cooperatives there, because we want to do it through AACO and through other cooperatives, not one-on-one. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Monsieur Nafet, please, juste un mot de clôture, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, merci. C'est une chance de vous rencontrer. Mais je souhaite que l'après-Covid, c'est l'agriculture, elle a prouvé qu'elle est la moins touchée, surtout en Tunisie, c'est la moins touchée de cette crise.
Yes, please. Yeah,
oui?
Go on.
Oui.
Hello.
Comment?
Yes, please.
Je continue?
Yes, please.
Oui. Donc, nous souhaitons que l'agriculteur et les consommateurs travaillent ensemble. Il y a beaucoup de chances d'améliorer le rendement de notre agriculture, la qualité. Et donc, je pense qu'on va vers un système agroécologique plus diversifié. On doit travailler sur une alimentation plus territorialisée. Donc, on doit faire du circuit court et les échanges entre la nationale et entre pays africains. Merci.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nafet was talking more about he's happy and with this particular setting or meeting, but I would like to look at after COVID and especially focusing on consumers and producers working together through the cooperative model to shorten first the chain and making sure that quality and quantity can be assured for the betterment of our populace, and making sure that we have trade to trade, not only nationally, but also throughout the region and abroad. Thank you. Tarum, please, the floor is yours. Concluding remarks. Tarum, are you still with us? Tarun, yes?
Harun had to left. He had actually spoke to me. He's on another meeting.
He's already gone, huh?
Yes.
Thank you, Chen. Yeah, here. Thank you
Please.
very much. Thank you, Dr. Sifa, and thank you for all the speakers and participants today. I think it is a very nice experience of me to have this opportunity to communicate with other cooperative friends in the world in this webinar. I think it is a very good opportunity for me to learn from what our cooperative friends are doing. And I think it sends to me a very strong message that we are not alone in this fight. I wish all of you good health. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. And please pass our regards to our friends in China as well.
Sure.
Yes, finally, Dr. Cruz, please, do you have a concluding remarks?
Okay. Well, I want to say thank you to all, and especially to you, Dr. Sifa, for this opportunity to hear such as FAAO and China Coop. Ni hao, Shay, Fan, and thank you. You take my words with your last words. You take mine, and I think that we have to unite to produce more food to the markets and be more business mentality, because if you don't make revenues, if you don't make an income, we cannot grow, and that is very important. Thank you, Dr. Sifa. Please, to all, best health possible, and keep safe, please. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Cruz, and all the participants. We'll keep talking even after this particular meeting, conversing. Please drop an email, any suggestion, and we have seen quite a number of our AAACO members participating. Musa from Swaziland, and I've seen Tanzania, Rwanda, I think I've seen South Africa, and quite a number of Kenya as well, and so many other countries. So please keep engaging. You have to own the organization, and you have to make sure that things happen. So please keep us on our toes. I would like also to say and promise that indeed our office will work on these recommendations and try to see what we can do in a short time, that is during COVID, but also what we can do in the medium and the long term for the agricultural cooperatives to see our dream of AAACO definitely accomplished. I would like to thank my team, that is the technical team, especially Arnold, who the coordinator for the AAACO, for all the efforts, plus others who have been helping him around. They were the brains behind this particular meeting. That is, I think, Eric, Asira, Melvin, Virginia, Dr. Karemi, and Salome, among others. In protocols, once the boss talks, then it means we are not talking anymore. So I would like to say thank you once again for all the speakers who have graced this particular occasion, and for sharing a few thoughts with us. And we promise that indeed we shall do a thorough follow-up. I would like now to invite Dr. Katabarwa, who is the chair of AAACO, to make his speech, and after Dr. Katabarwa, that will be the end of the this particular webinar. So Dr. Katabarwa, the floor is yours, please. Monsieur, Dr. Katabarwa, c'est votre temps, s'il vous plaît. Hello? Is he still around? He was connected. I think he's having a challenge with his connection. Is he still connected?
We have lost him again. He's
oh, sorry. So I'll have to read his. He had already sent me his speech, so I have no choice but to read it for you. And after that, it means his connection is not stable. That is the problem. Yeah. So please allow me to read on his behalf. Huh? Remarks of the president of AACO, Dr. Augustine Katabarwa, during the AACO webinar titled Identified Agricultural Best Practices to Sustain Livelihoods Through Agricultural Cooperatives in Africa, Case Studies and Lessons Learned During the COVID-19, held on 31st July 2020. Distinguished guests, dear fellow cooperators, ladies and gentlemen, cooperative greetings. I bring you warm greeting from the Alliance Africa Agricultural Cooperative Organization, AACO. I'm grateful and honored to be speaking to you today and deliver a message to open up this discussion and closing for sure that I believe are great essence due to the context and challenges that this year has come with. This year has seen the usual and normal way we live challenged, not only in Africa, but worldwide, due to what is known as and referred to as COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. And as cooperative and cooperators, this is crucial time to hold each other's hand tighter than ever, and through this we become stronger. The cooperative business model has stood the test of times and has been proven to be resilient during the hard times. Whether through economic, social, political crises, the movement has seen to protect its people and businesses. Its resilience has enabled the movement to serve its members throughout the crisis and after the crisis, and leave a legacy to us who today are the flag bearers of the cooperative movement. It is now our time to do the same, stand firm and serve our people honestly. Our values and principles must remain the pillars to guide us in every step that we take. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow cooperators, today it is not arguable that the COVID-19 pandemic has brought about unprecedented and perhaps the most severe economic and social downturn. The spread of this virus is creating the interdependence crisis where everyone is for themselves or herself, exposing and affecting the ecosystem that's ever before. This challenge, compounded with the effect of climate change, has rendered most countries exposed to even dire consequences of food insecurity. In addition, we cannot forget to mention the most recent floods in Eastern Africa and Southern Africa, the locust invasion in East Africa, and political turmoil in some parts of our motherland, Africa. We definitely have to gather today and think together on how to best sustain our livelihoods. Gathering today as stakeholders around the agriculture sector is undeniable as the effects has most hit activities within the sector most. We have all seen how much the restrictive measures, lockdown, reduction of movement of people and goods in our region have left many of us wondering and with anxiety fearing of our future lives. Ladies and gentlemen, the role that agriculture plays in our economies is immense, and well over 60% of our population are involved in agriculture. However, the sector at the same time faces tremendous challenges. According to the African Development Review 2017, presents numerous challenges to agriculture developments, with technological innovation, land reforms, irrigation, climate change, trade, value chain, and data gap in resource access are just but a few that can be mentioned. Hence, today's discussion will not just be about reflection of our current status quo, but most importantly, what we who gathered here today are doing to make our lives and those of our loved ones better. My desire is to see us come up with actions that will be implemented during these uncertain times, and even more in the days and years after this crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to thank you all, to thank all of you for sparing your time to attend this webinar and share your thoughts with all of us. I welcome you once again to this discussion that was before, and also say thank you for all the comments and observation and thoughts you have made. So thank you very much. That was Dr. Katabarwa's message. I think he's still not there, so we shall conclude now and say, please keep safe. Let's continue talking, and please, our great partners, please let's work together, and also our members, let's own the movements. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sifa. Bye-bye.